Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have John Tussey. Hi, John.
Hello. Good to see you, David.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
John is an award-winning keyboard recording artist, composer, arranger, producer, educator, and public speaker. He's released 30 instrumental albums since 1996. John's specialty is recording piano and synthesizer soundscapes with various frequencies and tunings. To date, John has released 11 albums embedded with accurately transposed frequencies of the periodic table of elements, 3 albums tuned to the solfeggio frequencies, 4 albums tuned to 444 hertz, and 2 albums tuned to 432 hertz. John was mentored one-on-one by David Van Koevering in 2009. He has many albums on Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, Bandcamp, and has received many testimonies from listeners, including physical healings. What have you been up to lately?
Well, I'm just about, uh, I'm actually finishing up my 31st album, which is called Frequencies of Abundance 3. And that contains the 11 abundant elements that make up 99.45% of the human body. I should say the 11 abundant elements in frequency form, which are embedded in the tracks, one track for each element: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, and so on and so forth. So I've been enjoying, using sounds especially from Omnisphere 2. And I'm so excited to find out that Omnisphere 3 is going to be released on October the 21st. So instead of starting my second listens, so to speak, in the process of finishing up the album, right now, I realized, hey, I've got to wait until Omnisphere 3 is ready so I can download it and get the upgraded versions of all of these remastered sounds that I've already used and possibly use some new ones. So it's an exciting time for me.
That's funny. I'm excited about Omnisphere 3 as well. It's a sound module. It's got really cool sounds for doing sound healing. Oh my God, it's just the best. Just the best.
Isn't Omnisphere amazing?
Yeah, yeah. It's like so many cool sounds.
I tell you,
Excellent.
I've never found anything better than Omnisphere. It's just like I'm drawn to that. I try to use other software synths, but I mean, Omnisphere is in a class by itself, and the sounds, the saturation, the punch, the clarity, just the quality of those sounds.
It's just the string sounds are incredible. They're just so beautiful, and there's so many of them. Okay, so if you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people on the planet?
What would I do?
Hmm.
Well, I believe one of the first things I would do is invest in helping people have clean water. And I would invest in local farmers being able to produce good, healthy, organic food for people. And I would invest in those that I believe had credibility in helping people to not only distribute food, but also clothing. And I would also invest in helping people that were homeless find homes. And I would also invest in educating people so that they could get jobs and become independently uh, responsible, for themselves instead of depending on welfare and begging and so on and so forth. And that's just some of what I would do.
Excellent. Really good. Excellent. Excellent ones. Okay, so you do music tuned to certain frequencies. So
Yeah.
this is called concert pitch, where you actually tune one note to a certain frequency and then all the other notes are tuned to that note. So essentially, the whole song is tuned either higher or lower to a specific frequency.
Correct.
Yeah. So, so you're using the elements. So where did you get the frequencies for the elements? Because they're not normally laid out as frequencies, right?
Exactly. Well, I'll give you the backstory on that.
Oh, cool, cool.
David Van Koevering, who was a quantum physicist, music instrument inventor, visionary, and a very strong Christian visionary. He worked with Bob Moog and had early influence, and he actually was a part of the earlier development of that instrument, and he created the market for that instrument. If you look on the website for the Bob Moog Foundation, they honored David Van Koevering, and you can find, I believe, a separate piece about him. So he had a very strong part in the early development of music technology and MIDI. So he actually invented the technology that preceded the CD, inscribing data on film. He was a brilliant inventor. He introduced me to a technology that includes three tunings accurately transposed, because I know that they were accurately transposed because I talked to the man who actually did these transpositions into the human audible hearing spectrum. His name is Dr. Wayne Kirby. His software that I use is no longer available to the public. It's under copyright, and even if it was available to the public, you have to have Windows XP to operate it, which is more than, what, 20, 25 years old? I don't know if it would even operate on Windows 2000. So I have a small netbook with this software, with these tunings in it. And so I recorded 37 of these periodic table of element frequencies. They're one single tone each. He had these frequencies that he transposed by, I don't understand it. He used, well, it's complicated,
Because we're
but he
really
used,
talking atomic or molecular
yeah, it's
level of
complicated.
vibration.
Yeah, he used Planck's constant to, it's complicated. I'll just put it that way. And I'm not going to try to explain something that I don't really understand, because that would be not so good. Anyway, after he did his calculations for these frequencies of the periodic table of elements, he brought them before at least two physicists to have them checked for accuracy. Before I began recording with them, having that knowledge of those frequencies being checked by physicists gave me a really comfortable feeling recording with them. I actually talked with Dr. Kirby on the phone twice in 1 week for a period of about 1 hour and 19 minutes. Now, this man is an extremely busy professor in a North Carolina university, and to catch him on the phone twice in a week and spending that much time with him was really amazing. One of the kindest people I've ever talked to. He taught me over the phone how to use his software because I couldn't figure it out. So after I could use his software and I looked at the numbers of the frequencies and how he had them laid out, I was confident that I was locating oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, according to where they were laid out in his tuning layout. I was confident that I had it correct. And so I found a German website. Go figure. Let's face it, Germans are some of the smartest people in the world. And I can send you this website if you'd like. It's amazing. You can pop in any frequency, and the frequency of the tuning system that you're using, like 440 hertz. So, say I want to record with the frequency of oxygen from Dr. Kirby's list of frequencies, which is between 500 and 600 hertz. And I find the closest piano key to that frequency of oxygen. So I type in both of them, the frequency of oxygen and the frequency of the piano key that's closest to it. With one click, I get exactly how many cents, minus or plus, I have to adjust Omnisphere to, or whatever instrument I'm using, in order so that to have the music as extremely close to the frequency embedded into it so that the music does not sound out of tune. You'll notice my music does not sound out of tune because of this German website that gives me the opportunity to know exactly how many cents, minus or plus,
Mhm.
to retune. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I just so you know, if you don't know this, Omnisphere actually has it where you can set it based on frequencies. It's like one of the only programs that allows you to do that. If you go
well,
if you go
I
into
know,
settings,
I know for each patch, I use the fine tune.
yeah, no, go into settings. Don't use
Yeah.
the fine tune, go into settings, and it's got instead of cents, which is the way synthesizers work, it actually has frequency. And you can set it to the actual frequency, which is
Okay.
more precise than cents, actually.
Okay. So in other words, I don't have to choose 440, 441, 442, 443. I don't have to choose that.
No,
I
you
can,
do. You choose 432, whatever. You type in the actual frequency you want to tune the whole program to.
ah,
It's
okay.
under settings. It's just really cool because it bypasses the whole sense thing.
Okay. Thank you for that information. You see, these frequencies of the periodic table go two places past the decimal point. Dr.
Um,
Kirby did a very deep, when you go two points past the decimal point, that's pretty deep for a tuning.
that's really cool because, I would really like to get those frequencies because um, Jeffrey Thompson basically has frequencies that will create more oxygen in your system. And I assume these frequencies, if they're right, which I assume they are, will actually create those elements in your body when you play them.
Well, I'll read you some testimonies, and you can choose to make a decision on that. But I have some amazing testimonies from people that have listened to this. Even one lady playing my frequency, two CDs to her garden, and the next year she had giant-sized tomato plants. One was 7 feet tall, and a crop of squash that was coming out their ears. So I like to tell people the ground doesn't lie. If anything proves these frequencies really are the deal and they really work, I think that testimony in itself really says a lot.
I love it. I love it. So you're also tuning to other frequencies like the solfeggio frequencies. For those
Right.
that don't know about solfeggio or have seen all the misinformation on the internet, tell us,
Yes.
tell us. I mean, there's more misinformation about solfeggio than anything ever on the internet. It's really completely a mess out there.
David, thank you for saying that. I
Hmm.
couldn't agree more. Have you ever seen any of Jamie Buturf's videos about the solfeggio frequencies?
Hmm.
You'd love it. He goes into detail and he exposes how erroneous the information is.
Hmm. There's some
There's
cool things about it though, still.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Now, I do have some amazing information about 528 hertz that I'd
okay,
like to share later
okay.
at a time during our interview that you feel is best.
Yeah. Well, let's
But
let's tell what solfeggio is. Or you want me to go do it, or you got it?
you go right ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the a lot of people believe these are ancient frequencies, around time of Gregorian chant, but they're not. They came from Joseph Paleo over 30 or 40 years ago. He actually did numerology on the Bible to change the letters to numbers. And he did the numerology in a really unusual way. He didn't do it the normal way. He actually took a whole paragraph and changed all of those letters to numbers and then collapsed them down to a smaller number. But when he did this, he only got six frequencies
Hmm.
total out of the whole Bible section, right? And that's really interesting. And there's numerologically, these numbers are cool because they break down to either a 3, 6, or 9. So, for example, the 528 is 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 plus 8 is 15, and the 1 and the 5 adds up to a 6. So it breaks down numerologically to a 6. But then here's where the confusion happened. Somebody added the solfege vowels, which came from Father Guido in 1000 AD, which are simply do, re, mi, fa, so, and are supposedly tied to the planets, right? And so everybody then got confused and thought, oh, this is from 1000 AD, these frequencies.
Okay.
No, they came from Joseph Paleo 30 to 40 years ago. And even the meanings, aren't really ancient. So that's where the big confusion is. But I have to tell you something really funny. So I was telling my psychic friend that's given me a bunch of frequencies, and he's been pretty cool. They've been really effective for a lot of things. He's like a medical intuitive. And I told him about the solfeggio frequencies, and he goes, "Let me check." And we were talking about 852 hertz actually. And he goes, "Whoa. Whoa." I'm like, what? He goes, this frequency created our whole universe. I'm like, who knows anything for sure around here, right? Could be a lot more ancient than we know, but again, who knows anything for sure?
Well, I've recorded 3 albums with the solfeggio frequencies, and I do believe that they have validity, but I don't go along with all the misinformation, false information. For instance, you know as well as me that there are attributes assigned to each of these frequencies. I I did a search. Where did these attributes come from? Where did they originate? I couldn't find where they originated from.
Yeah, I haven't either. I haven't
And if
found.
you, thank you for verifying that, David. If you can't find where they originated from, then you can't put any weight on their validity,
Right.
right?
Right.
Uh,
But there's like, actually, I had a presentation in the conference years ago, and this woman actually took and created a circle with 24 numbers, 1 through 24, and
yes.
mapped the solfeggio frequencies onto that circle.
Yeah.
And it created the Coptic cross.
Oh,
And so there are some really cool mathematical things about this that
yeah.
are really interesting. The solfeggio frequencies that could be really interesting. Also, there's um, yeah, there's some interesting things coherences about them. Oh, I was going to tell you, one of two of my instructors got downloads in the same week, all the way across the country. They're completely across the country from each other. They both got downloads for 9 more solfeggio frequencies. And
Interesting.
it's interesting. If you look at the keypad on a phone, well, all of the solfeggio frequencies are up and down on the keypad on the phone.
Interesting.
Yeah, 528 is there,
Yeah.
852. And what basically the downloads that my two instructors got was to take those three numbers and turn them around every direction. So we got 528, 852,
Right. 258.
582, 258, and
Yeah.
those are the other nine that they got. And they weren't even looking at the keypad when they
Right.
got it. So
Yeah.
those are interesting as well.
Yeah. I have seen that they did add 3 extra ones, which makes 9. Um,
Oh, they actually
it's a,
actually 9 more, so they got 15 now.
oh, they do.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I said, I do believe that they do have some validity.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I recorded with them. I have received also testimonies from those that have listened to the Solfeggio Frequencies albums that I've done, and really encouraging testimonies. Um, the periodic table of elements frequencies are very fascinating to me, however, more than I think more than the Solfeggio frequencies. Um, I'm just fascinated with them. And like I said, the 528 hertz does have some very significant.
Which is a solfeggio. Yeah, tell
Yeah,
us
it
more about
is.
that.
It
And
is.
also, while you're talking in the beginning, you said you tune your music to 444. That's
Yes.
what you tune to the A to get the C to be 528.
Yes. The C above middle C
Mhm.
in 444 hertz, as you well know, is 528.1 hertz. 528.1 is very close to 528, right?
Hmm.
In our world, I don't know if I should say close enough. I don't like to say that, but that's as close as it's going to get if you use 444 hertz,
Nice, nice. Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then the whole thing with 528 that I know about is Leonard Horowitz years ago said, "Oh, it's the frequency of love." And it unravels the DNA. Although about 7 years ago, he admitted in a video that there is zero research that actually shows this.
Exactly. You see, that's what I'm talking about. When I teach something regarding, when I do a teaching rather about frequencies, I feel it's important to have verifiable, scientific based information to back it up.
I agree.
Because if you're not careful, you can really go off on the subject of frequencies. And I like to steer clear from emotionally based information because it doesn't cut it. It has to be scientific or medically based, something that has been tested, something that has clear research behind it.
I, so tell us
Or,
what you
or
know
like
about
this
the
one,
520. Yeah.
like this, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Like this one that I want to read about 528's how it cleaned polluted water in the Gulf of Mexico. And it has a signed scientific document to back it up. That's something I'd like to read a little later.
Oh,
But
go ahead and read it now while we're talking
okay,
about it. Yeah.
okay, great.
Hmm.
So it's not really long.
Hmm.
528 hertz, how it cleaned polluted water in the Gulf of Mexico. In 2010, John Hutchinson, an electromagnetic energy expert from Vancouver, BC, Canada, helped purify poisoned water off the Gulf of Mexico following the BP oil spill. He and his research partner, Nancy Hutchinson, formerly Nancy Lazaryan, used the 528 hertz frequency and other solfeggio tones to reduce the oil and grease in polluted waters. The polluted area was treated with the frequencies for 4 hours the first day, and by the next morning, the waters were cleared. They also did 4 more hours of radio frequency to complete the test. The frequency device was situated about 25 feet up the beach from the water. So they brought a pretty impressive array of audio equipment down there when they did this. It looked like, from what I've seen, the speakers were a pretty good size. They restored the water's vitality as manifested by the return of fish, dolphins, and even barnacles. Nancy said that the water that had been murky brown was a clear green. Two dolphins came into 5 feet of water to visit. Lots of schools of fish and crabs were very active. Their results were certified, this is very important to me, by Dr. Robert Naiman, president of Analytical Chemical Testing Laboratory Incorporated. of Mobile, Alabama. Dr. Naiman, an analytical chemist with almost 30 years in the field, tested the samples and confirmed the complete removal of oil and grease from the after-treatment sample source tested. As you can see, the amount of oil and grease before the frequency treatment was 7 parts per million, while the samples that had undergone the frequency exposure measured less than 1 part per million. John's method of using sound and radio frequencies nearly eliminates the oil and toxins completely and has no known dangerous side effects. John and Nancy can clear a radius of about a mile in one 24-hour session. Analytical Chemical Testing Laboratory Incorporated stated, while the technology is not completely understood by the undersigned, it is clear that the process may have extreme value, and it should be given a chance to be presented and tested on a large-scale basis. Now, I want to hold up to the screen the scientific document associated with what I just read.
Oh, hard to see it with, there you go. Okay.
It keeps disappearing, but you can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I want you to see that it was signed by Dr. Robert Naiman. It's a 3-page document.
Okay, you want the devil's advocate argument against it?
So I feel that this is a very significant story in giving a very encouraging word about 528 hertz.
Yeah. So here's my concern about it. And it's cool. I mean, who knows anything for sure, but and I was talking about this in the opening for the conference because I go through how to do research in my presentation.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, did they test all other 20,000 frequencies to see how it would clear the water?
I
Right?
don't know.
Yeah, that absolutely not. Of course not. But so they don't really know that 528 is better than the other frequency. It's good, but it could be just that they're providing a stable, consistent vibration of a frequency versus chaos. It could be the 528's the deal, but it doesn't really prove it until you test all the other frequencies and see how, but the reduction is dramatic regardless it's dramatic, but it doesn't really prove it's 528. And there's other scientific studies out there about 528 that are similar. Oh, 528 got got this happened. Well, you don't really know. I mean, maybe a different frequency would be 10 times better. You don't know because we haven't tested it.
Mhm. Now, I do have another document. This is by Scientific Research Publishing, and I'm not going to read the names of all of the doctors, but there are 5 of them, and they're from Japan. And this is very impressive, maybe even more than what I just read.
Okay, cool.
Um, this is about the study examining stress reducing effect on the endocrine system and the autonomic nervous system of music with a frequency of 528 hertz, which has recently attracted attention as a healing type of music. 9 healthy participants, 1 man and 8 women, aged 26 to 37, listened to 528 hertz and standard 440 hertz music on separate days. We measured salivary biomarkers of stress, cortisol, chromogranin A, and oxytocin before and after exposure to music, and continuously recorded the activity of the autonomic nervous system. The profile of mood state second edition, was also administered as a subjective indicator of stress. In the 528 Hz condition, mean levels of cortisone significantly decreased. Chromogranin A tended to decrease, and oxytocin significantly increased after music exposure. However, no significant change was observed in any salivary biomarkers in the 440 Hz condition. The ratio of low frequency to high frequency autonomic nervous system activity significantly decreased after exposure to both types of music, and the coefficient of variation of R-R intervals also significantly decreased, but only after exposure to 528 Hz music. Okay, now listen to this. Tension dash anxiety and total mood disturbance scores were significantly reduced after exposure to 528 Hertz music, while there was no significant difference following 440 Hertz music. These results suggest that the influence of music on the autonomic nervous system and endocrine system varies depending on the frequency of the music, and furthermore, the 528 Hertz music has an especially strong stress reducing effect even following only 5 minutes of exposure. Now, what you said about other frequencies may have a greater effect, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is proof that 528 Hertz does have an amazing effect. And it's, there are 5 doctors. I can read their names, but, this is from Scientific Research Publishing Health 2018. And again, what you said, they may very well be able to find other frequencies that are more powerful than 528 Hertz. I don't have any doubt about it. But I'd like to see the research on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's a lot to say.
yeah, when you have research like this that has been documented, it just gives you a really good feeling about recording music with 528 Hertz.
Cool.
I think you'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's one other thing one other variable I'd like to throw in since we're talking about it, because I'm not, I mean, this is it's better than 440 there. Yeah,
I don't
depending,
record with
right?
440 anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing is, I tune music to a person. I do an assessment and find their key. Jeffrey Thompson actually finds their actual frequency and tunes the music to their frequency of their metabolism where they're at peace, which is an average of the heart rate and brainwave rate, which you don't have to average. And so it's very scientifically, you can tell when somebody is at peace based on EKG and EEG, right? And find that rhythm of their metabolism. So if the 528 happens to be closer to the people that got tested, that might be the reason that it's working better versus the 440. If someone happens to be tuned to a 440, their metabolism, then their metabolism, it might be better for 440 for them. That's another possible variable. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think this is cool. Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
I agree. And
Cool.
what you just shared about this gentleman that finds the frequency of specific people one on one is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's really, really cool. It's interesting because, in the body, there's two types of frequencies. There's one that are archetypal, like the elements,
Yeah.
and the Schumann resonance. That's the frequency we're all tuned to. So they have nothing to do with your body, where there's a whole other set of frequencies that are yours, which is your metabolism frequency and a lot of the frequencies of different organs and such. We think those are extrapolated from your metabolism frequency as
Mhm.
well. And well, okay, so what about 432? 432's got a lot of auspicious things about it. I mean, they do say it's the heart meridian, although I don't know how they figured that out. So a lot of people have reverted to 432 now that Leonard Horowitz admits, the 528 that has no other than the research you've shown, which is really cool. So what about
432, I'm sure you've read about this, that 432 appears to be something found in uh, something that the human body is more relaxed and comfortable with, physically, emotionally, mentally. It appears that 432 music is more uh, is a better choice, so to
Let me
speak.
tell you, I've been testing 440 and 432 in my classes for 10 years.
Yes,
70% of the people choose 440 all the time.
is it because that's what they've been listening to
We're
since they were
strung out. We're strung out. We are addicted to four. That's all anybody listens to is to
well,
440. That's,
since
I
they
think
came
that's
out of
exactly it.
since they came out of their mother's womb? That's what they've been listening to. That's what they've been programmed with, right?
Totally, totally.
And let's visit this false teaching about Joseph Goebbels, who was Hitler's propaganda minister, being the source and reason for 440 hertz being the international tuning standard. We both know that's false and
Yeah,
that never happened.
yeah.
And yeah, there's no
Right. So glad you brought that up.
yeah.
Everybody in the field that knows about frequencies doesn't believe that 440 is evil in that way, and was they set when they set that standard, they even it, they didn't know what they were doing.
Hmm.
I've heard the reason they set it to 440 was because concerts were a little more exciting that way and they're just trying to attract more people.
Yeah.
So that's what I've heard. It's yeah, it's not a conspiracy. Although I have to tell you, this is really funny. I've heard, I don't even know if this is true, but I've heard this, that in ancient times, czars would make would have everybody in the country change the tuning of their instruments to the czar's frequency.
Now, how many years ago would this be?
I don't know. It sounded like it was ancient China, is what I know. But
Well, my question is what instrumentation did they have to
that's kind of an
accurately
important
determine,
point.
right? What
Other than
instrumentation,
intuition maybe.
right?
Right,
There,
right.
I mean, how can you tune to a czar's frequency without instrumentation that can accurately determine that?
Yeah, I mean, how could they even tune those instruments? I mean, to a certain frequency when they make
Wow.
them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That kind of blows that one out of the water.
And didn't the ability to determine frequency only happen in the 1800s? And before that, there was no way to determine the numeric, value, the number of hertz, so to speak.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So the interesting thing, of course, that if you look on the internet, you'll see the difference of a cymatic pattern of a water droplet
yeah,
being vibrated with 432 versus 440. But
yeah,
here's an interesting thing.
yes,
If you're not in the key of A, how many times does that song hit 432A? Maybe never, right?
right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I've seen the cymatic patterns, and I know about Dr. Emoto's um, studies with water and speaking to water and then freezing it, and so on and so forth. Um, the the subject of frequencies is so vast and deep and wide and big. It's, what can I say? It's profound.
There's many other things about 432 I can share. There's, first of all, there's many distances in sacred sites that are 432 in length. The latitude, this one's really cool. The latitude and longitude of many sacred sites is 432.
Hmm.
And the radius of the sun is 432,000 miles across. This is an interesting one, though. They found this is what they did tune to in ancient Egypt was 432. And uh, the when you tune to 432, half of the other uh, 12 notes are whole numbers instead of decimal points.
Hmm. Yes, I've noticed that. I've seen those numbers.
Uh-huh.
That that is really interesting because
It
in
is.
all the other tunings, you'll see two numbers past the decimal point, right?
Right.
Yeah, but in 432, a lot of the numbers are whole numbers.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is fascinating. Yes.
But here's the most important of all, by far.
Yeah.
I was born at 4:32 a.m. It's on my birth certificate.
How many albums have you recorded at 432?
Oh, I got almost all of them changed over now to 432.
Wow.
Yeah.
I recently, I my belief system is, I'm a born again Christian. I believe that the Holy Spirit is my guide and leader, and I believe in Jesus as the Messiah. I am a messianic believer, part Jewish, and what I wanted to share with you is that I receive downloads of frequencies sometimes. My most recent one was in May of 2022. I had COVID at the time. I was visiting my mom. We both had COVID. So I received a suddenly download 4961.53. I knew it was a frequency. So I taped it into my frequency generator in my phone. Welcome to my world. I played it and put it up against my chest, and I seemed to feel a bit better. So I knew that I was supposed to include that frequency, which is included in Waves of Abundance. And that album is available on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, free listening. Waves of Abundance. Every track is embedded and tuned extremely close to 4961.53. Let me read you a testimony. I was the co-author of a book. I wonder why it's doing that.
Oh, I see the
Called
background thing.
Frequencies of Heaven.
Hmm.
The authors are Dr. Scott Oatsvall, who has a lot of knowledge about frequencies. I'm extremely impressed with Dr. Scott. He also has a scanning system that he uses to determine a lot of information about people. He's in Tennessee. I plan to be scanned by him when I'm in that state. Joan Hunter and myself, we were the three authors. I want to read you what happened to this lady when she listened to Waves of Abundance. She said, I played it last night, all night, and I woke up healed from bronchial and nasal blockages. She said, I bless the Lord who downloaded the frequencies to you to share. When it's the Lord, it's indescribable. He is Lord over all, and He is. And I thank God for testimonies like that. Uh, my firm belief is that when Jesus died on the cross, the scripture is clear. It says in Isaiah 53:5, by his stripes we are healed, and 1 Peter 2:24, by whose stripes ye were healed. I believe that God has different ways of getting healing to us. And I believe that, plants have healing properties. I believe that the ultimate source of healing is the finished work of the cross of Jesus Christ and his shed blood, the stripes. Uh, I could go on, but I'll continue with our subject
Well,
frequencies.
I
Yeah,
I agree. The quality of the music and the energy you bring through with that music that you do, whether it's source or whatever, right? I think that's way more important than the frequency.
totally. I couldn't agree more.
Frequency is not bad. It's good. I'm not throwing it out. I'm not tossing any babies.
Right.
It's still free. It is good. It's because, but
Yeah.
if you bring through source energy and God while you're actually playing your music, that's going to do the healing.
That's such a good point, David. And I'm so glad that you said that. I really am. Because when I record, I just get into that place with the Holy Spirit, and it's a place that's sacred, and it's an amazing place. And there's a flow. Most of the music on my albums is spontaneous as it was recorded. Lots of times when I sit down to play, I have no idea what's going to come forth. Now, there are, as you'll be able to determine by listening to some of my albums, there are some clearly defined melodies that were composed and recorded. But most of the music is free flowing. And then after the initial track is laid down, I add more instruments and it gets arranged with more instrumentation here and there and layers of synth pads, which I love to do with Omnisphere and so on and so forth. And so the track that you'll use for the sound bath is called Oxygen Celestial. It's from my Frequencies of DNA album. It's one of my favorite tracks. And one of my favorite patches in Omnisphere is Lunar Choirs. You've probably used it, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
see you smiling. Isn't it awesome? It just takes you away, right? I'll tell you, nothing like Omnisphere.
Excellent. Excellent.
Uh,
Okay. Anything else you'd like to share before we end?
well, I wouldn't mind reading a few testimonies from this book that I co-authored.
Okay.
Um, and I think these will be fascinating. This this is fascinating. Okay, this is from Jackie from Kapolei, Hawaii. After listening nightly while sleeping to frequencies of thought, my potassium level went from borderline low to halfway range. Now I don't have to take potassium tablets. I just listen to frequencies of thought. Now, frequencies of thought contains 17 frequencies of the periodic table, including the 11 abundant elements on one track. But this album was specifically recorded to support the brain. Okay, I also want to share this one that I mentioned earlier. I played John's music to my garden last year, and this year we have monster sized tomato plants and squash that is coming out our ears. That's from Rosalind K. in Paradise, California. This is from Nelson in Texas. I played your music, Frequencies of Silver and Gold, in a meeting recently, and everyone with pain/aching got healed. And I give glory to God for that. I do want to read this testimony from Aid Thackeray in the United Kingdom. This testimony goes back to, I believe it was 2014. It's two-part, not real long. When I started using the Frequencies of Thought and Frequencies of the Heart albums, I was walking with a stick and having chiropractic treatment for degenerative disc disease. At that time, I had no reflexes in my left leg and had a trapped nerve also with nerve damage in my spine. Since listening to both these albums, my pain, which I was taking 2 types of morphine for, has decreased by 60%, and I am no longer using a walking stick. I attribute the reduction in pain to literally bathing myself in your albums, playing them all night and all day. Praise the Lord. I'm hoping to go back to work soon, as I've been off work for 6 weeks. This is amazing. I have such less pain, and I can bend like I used to. Thank you so much for your healing albums. Now, this next testimony came in within, I'd say, 2 weeks after what I just read as the first testimony. Hi, John. No pain in my back at all. I've now come off of tramadol, which is a major achievement. I've been on it 10, yes, 10 years. Now got a reduction plan with my doctor to come off short acting and long acting morphine. Hallelujah. He says, I play your music every day in a psychiatric ward. And this is from Aid Thackeray in the United Kingdom. I could read you so many more testimonies. And let me see if there's a short one here that I can just throw in real quick. Oh, wow. Some of these are not so short. Okay. Okay, I'll read this one. It's not long at all. This is the first solfeggio frequency CD. Now, this is from Melinda in Mico, Florida. This solfeggio frequency CD is like none other. There are no words in it. It is spiritual. It will touch your spirit, free you, and it will move your spirit into worship effortlessly. Can't explain it any other way. It isn't just listening to music. It is experiencing music in your body and spirit. Never have I experienced what I do when I listen to this music straight from heaven. So again, I give all glory to God, and I thank Jesus Christ, my personal Lord and Savior, for every good and perfect gift that comes down from the Father of lights, in whom there is no shadow of turning. And I'm very grateful for the gifts that I've been entrusted with to release music into the earth through. And it's really a privilege and an honor to share with you today, David. I really appreciate being able to share everything that I've shared. And I really appreciate you reaching out and having me as one of your presenters. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Where can people get in touch with you?
People can call this number, 808 497 1512. That's 808 497 1512. They can also email me at johntussey777 at gmail.com. I'll spell that. JOHNTUSSEY 777 at gmail.com. My website is johntussey, JOHNTUSSEY.com.
Cool. Well, thank you for everything you do. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It's been really, really just so pleasant talking with you and sharing, and I really appreciate it.
Take care. Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we have Yafi Yair. Hi, Yafi.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yafi is a doctor in clinical psychology and hypnosis. She combines her expertise in holistic wellness with spiritual exploration. Beyond her clinical realms, Dr. Yafi is an energy worker, an intuitive, and a channeler. She brings light language and verbal transmission from the divine feminine Hathor and from an array of other spiritual sources, including earth elements, Viola the fairy, and extraterrestrials. Dr. Yafi has also authored the books Conversations with Hathor, channeling the divine feminine, and Conversations with the Earth, channeling on humanity, consciousness, and the shift. Dr. Yafi's mission is enriching the lives of others through a heart-centered exploration of consciousness and of the self. You can find her at yafichanneling.com. Welcome, welcome. What have you been up to lately?
Thank you. Yeah, life has been kind of crazy. There is, if you're not feeling the energies around, I mean, I don't know, must be sleeping because I feel like there is a lot happening, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of intensity, a lot of emotions, a lot of happenings, both under the surface and above the surface. So it's intense and it's wonderful that things are actually moving, and it's good to be here.
It seems like, yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but it seems like we're getting more energy to deal with them now.
I think so too. So obviously we've had challenges for the past, well, always, it's a part of being human, but the past few years, things are accelerating and becoming more intense. But at least the way I'm experiencing it this year, 2025, there has been a shift in the energy. And yes, it's still accelerating. Yes, it's still intensifying, maybe even more than ever. But at the same time, very similar to the way you were saying it, the energy is flowing, it's moving. So before that, there was all this tension, but also the feeling that things are not moving. And now I really feel the movement, the motion of the energy, and all the changes that are happening.
Cool. Okay, here's the big question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people on the planet?
Yeah, so I would tackle two big issues that I feel would kind of take care of many others in our society, civilization, and I'm talking really globally. So I'm not even talking just about America. You said if I had all the money in the world, so I'm thinking really big. So one thing that I would do is change food production and distribution. So I would move away from any large scale industrial farming and move more towards organic, natural, nourishing the soil, like family businesses. Also, again, distribution. So we're producing a lot of food, but there's a lot of food waste and a lot of hunger in the world. So there's a lot about how we could fix this with distribution. So I would address that and make sure that food is being distributed proportionately throughout, so there's less waste and more abundance. So that's in terms of food, which hopefully will affect wellness and many other things. And the other thing that I would target would be education. And again, move away from our large scale schools with huge classes. And I would go, I guess, some kind of similar to food, right? The smaller, more personal, more focusing on outdoors and experiential and interactive learning, make it more fun, more interesting. More relevant. A lot of what we learn is not really relevant, which may add to the lack of interest. So I would restructure the education, as I said, make it more minimalistic. There's no need for it to take so many hours of the day, but it should be more fun, more engaging, and more educational.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so important. It's like, I think right now, because it's not fun, it's not a blast. It could be like probably 50 or at least 25% of kids are getting turned off and scared of learning.
Yes, and during COVID, I had a huge wave of children clients, anywhere from young children to teenagers. So a lot of parents brought them in for anxiety and stuff like that. And the younger the kids, the harder they had time adjusting. Sitting in front of a computer at home and studying instead of being in a classroom, instead of being in immersive, just doesn't work. And again, the younger the child, the lesser it works. And I
Right.
really saw it firsthand with all the clients. I had a huge wave, and there was so much anxiety and so many failing grades and so much difficulty and challenges just because of that. So I think just changing the way we think of education and the way we experience it would have very different results.
Excellent. I love it. Love it. Anything else?
Anything else? I
Uh,
would remove hate, remove war, and make us all heart-centered, loving, unity, community, society.
Excellent. Excellent. I love it. It's perfect. We're on our way.
Not Pollyanna at all, yes.
Okay. Okay, so you're a doctor, but now you've kind of a while ago you kind of gone complete woo-woo.
I have. It's been gradual. It was psychological and woo, then woo woo. But yes, now I'm there.
That's hilarious. So how did that happen? How did that world start opening up for you?
Yeah, so
Which
it
is
really,
really wonderful.
yeah, it started when I was really little with different things, obvious indication that I was sensitive to energies and to different things that are beyond the seen world, and also a UFO sighting that I had when I was 8. But other than that, for the majority of my life, I kind of put weird things aside and really focused on my more scientific brain, left brain, reasoning, intellectual functioning, etc. And as a result, I also got a doctorate in clinical psychology. Again, very left brain. I really thought that was my path. I thought I felt comfortable in that world. Um, until 2012, maybe even 2011, I had this huge awakening of just an inner burst of interest, anything spiritual and paranormal. All of a sudden, something shifted in my mind, and it became okay to be interested in that. And I started listening to overnight radio talk shows that deals with the topic and reading different books, and I just really immersed myself. And then I discovered hypnosis that all of a sudden gave me an opening of inserting my spiritual interest into my professional world. Back then, I was still working for others as a mainstream psychologist, doing a lot of testing and evaluations and therapy. But hypnosis deals with the subconscious. So again, it gave me that opening, that permission slip a little bit. People within the field were still not very open to it, but it was the beginning of it. And then my mom was diagnosed with cancer and transitioned very quickly in about 2 months. And that became a part of my spiritual journey. And that made my desire to explore and to know more urgent and more personal. It was no longer something theoretical, hypothetical that I was interested in. It was my life. I wanted to know there's a spiritual reality. I wanted to be able to communicate with my mom and reach out to her. So it became very personal, and it really did accelerate my progress. I started going to the Monroe Institute, increasing my ability to navigate between different states of consciousness, altered states. And I meditated every day already, and I became more connected to my inner world and to the spirit world. And with hypnosis, my spiritual expansion took off because at first it was clinical hypnosis. We still deal with the subconscious. And then I discovered Brian Weiss, so now it was past life regression. And then I discovered Michael Newton. So now we're talking about what? We can talk about to the higher self in life between lives, between lives. And then Dolores Cannon with QHHT, I was trained in. I'm like, wait, we can just speak to the higher self and just get questions, answers directly. So it just kept up expanding and expanding. And I guess it seems like a logical graduation that I started learning, training in channeling and delving into this world. At that point, I was already doing psychic readings professionally for about 6, 7 years, maybe even 8 years. So it was already a part of my world. But you know how we have these arbitrary gray lines of what's okay, what's not okay. So I was okay with doing readings. Confirmations, validations came really quickly because people just said, yes, how did you know? That's right. Yes, that's my mom. Yes, I have 2 kids, or whatever it is. So validations came really quick. It was easier for my brain to accept it. But channeling was too weird until about 5.5 years ago. And again, it just, my interest awakened, and there are all these sources from all directions in my life bringing up channeling and bringing up Lisa Royal Holt, which ended up being my channeling teacher. She's wonderful. If you don't know her, go check her out. Um, so in that training space. My left brain was comfortable enough to allow whatever happens, needs to happen, and to really go with the flow and really trust for the purpose of training and practice and playing around with the practice of channeling. And that just really opened a different world for me. So Hathor was one of the first sources that have shown up for me. And when she/them, we can talk about it, why it can be either she or them, or it, really, it can be whatever we make it to be. When she first came through, I did not know the name Hathor. I had no idea who that was, what to expect. I expected a very strong, maybe even masculine energy, because Hathor just sounds like very Hathor. And then to my amazement, when I opened to that essence to merge with me and to channel messages, I felt this softness, nurturing, loving energy. And fortunately for me, the people that were with me asking questions as I was in the channeled mode, they did know the name Hathor. So they had some context of what kind of questions to ask. Although from the beginning, Hathor, they were always open to questions. They like us to drive the conversation, but they always give drops of knowledge. And one of the first messages they opened with, without anybody asking, was about gold and the energy of gold. And they intermittently used golden energy and the energy of gold. Now looking back, I know there was making a connection between the physical gold, the mineral gold as we know it, the metal gold, but also golden energy, which is connected to the divine feminine and something that we can work with.
So tell us more about the Hathors, because I know there's carvings of the Hathors throughout Egypt. They're like everywhere. I've heard they were out in society in ancient Egypt even.
Yes, and we asked about that. Of course, we wanted to know. So, as I said, when it came through me, they introduced themselves, or she, or the essence introduced itself as the divine feminine. So other people knew the name Hathor. If they knew the name, if they know the name, they know it from ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, she was a goddess, a singular goddess, a being named Hathor. But she was more than one being, even in the ancient Egyptian mythology, because she was the archetypal mother, the mother to all the other gods. So she's often associated with the animal cow because cow gives us milk and nourishes us. And that's what Hathor was said to do with all the gods. She gave of her milk, she nourished all the gods. So we know her as an individual goddess, but also as a broader archetypal mother essence. So when she came through me, she didn't use the word goddess, and I think I would have reacted poorly if she did. Goddess sounds very hierarchical, like we're supposed to worship them, and that's not what they want. And I think for a while, that is why they refrained from using words such as gods or goddesses. But yes, divine feminine. Yes, they confirmed, or they reported through me when I was channeling that indeed in ancient Egyptian time, they actually walked the earth as physical being. So it wasn't just mythology, just an etheric energy that people personified. There were actual physical beings, and they did so. And again, this is all what information that came through me. So take everything as you will. They didn't have to reincarnate into babies or in the womb, but they were able to densify their light body enough to have a physical body so they can interact with people in our dimension. And that's what was in ancient Egypt. Now, in addition to the divine feminine, another layer, another aspect of their identity and nature is a collective, a non-physical collective from the Sirius star system. So why non-physical and why the Sirius star system? So their identity as a collective, and again, this is all from what they teach and they explain, their identity as a collective was formed as they were incarnating, so that's different than ancient Egypt, incarnating in the Sirius B star system in physical bodies, and they evolved. They had many different forms. Some of the more intelligent ones, we would recognize as amphibious or even ocean dwelling. And they evolved eventually beyond the physical into their light bodies as a collective. Since then, they operate in many, many dimensions and star systems. So they're not local to the Sirius star system, but that's where their collective ascended. And that is how that association with the identity of being Sirian or from the Sirius star system arose. And they have been, the last thing I'll say, they have been interacting with the planet and with humanity from the very beginning. So they were aware of the Earth development much, much before intelligent life as we know it, as we think of it, was present on the Earth life system. And they have been involved with humanity also from the very beginning.
What would you say is their main mission or message?
Yes, so from the beginning, we asked them, well, why are you in touch with us now? What is going on? Because as I mentioned, it's been about 5.5 years. And they said, well, we interact with humanity. And that is why they interacted with humanity during the ancient Egyptian time, which is, by the way, closer to 10,000 years rather than the 4,000 or 5,000 years that our mainstream science tells us today. 10 to 12,000 years is more accurate from what they say. And they're saying we interacted with humanity back then and with humanity now because we come forth and we interact wherever there is a very significant time for humanity. Whenever there is times of accelerated change, of big transformation, that's where we come in contact. And this is why we're here now. This is why we're contacting humanity now. And this is why we're coming through me as a vehicle, Dr. Yafi now, because these are very important times, very exciting time. A lot is changing, a lot of happening, and they are a part of that change. And they are here, and they are not the only ones, but they are here to help you usher humanity into our new stage of evolution, which includes being aware of other beings, other dimensions, which includes being a part of a cosmic galactic society, and which includes physical contact. So they gave that message, like I said, at the very beginning of my channeling several years ago. But then more recently, approximately 2 years ago, they said, and now we're also once again on the planet in the physical. So now they're once again manifested physical bodies on planet Earth in preparation for a completely physical interactions.
Have you seen them?
Not as people, I've seen them as orbs of light. Actually, the last time was today. So this morning I was in my patio with my coffee. I woke up before the sun came up, so I was enjoying the stars and my solar lights. I have torches, and it's very pretty to wake up when they're still on. So I was just drinking my coffee, sitting in the patio, and I was feeling a little pensive. I was feeling different emotion, thinking about different things in my life. And I kind of internally turned that more and more into inspiration instead of sadness, or in addition to the sadness. I'm working as all humans to embrace all emotions, and not only the really fun ones. And as I was doing that and connecting to my inner self and connecting to my galactic family and inviting, not even inviting them, more just sending gratitude and connecting that, bringing that up within myself to feel more inspiration and more connection, all of a sudden I saw a very bright light, which as bright as Venus. It was Venus was to the east, this was to the south. And before I could even think, it made a tiny movement, then blew up. Huge, huge bright light, maybe half as big as the full moon in the sky, or maybe even a little bigger. Huge. And then it just disappeared. And it took me some time to get it. At first, my brain was trying to rationalize it. So I'm like, oh, that's an airplane that turned and that's why it flared up. So I kept on looking for the flashing light of the airplane, which obviously it wasn't there, it just disappeared. And then, of course, to answer my critical mind, an airplane came from the other side and it was a very obvious airplane. And only then it kind of really dawned on me that was such a direct response to my inner conversation and to that, I don't know if request for communion, maybe that's a better way, because I wasn't really asking for a sign, but I was asking to really feel it. I needed that extra strength and extra flash of love, which that's exactly what I feel I received.
I
So
love it.
that is how I usually see them. I haven't seen them as people face to face, but I've been promised that that's some of the steps to come. And of course, I'm looking forward to it so, so much. It's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, more than anything.
It was about 6 years ago that I was talking to a psychic, and my friend, she said, "Oh, here's the Hathors. They want to build a super highway between your pituitary and pineal gland." I'm like, "Okay." So now my intuition has gone off the deep end, and I get downloads. And just in the last month, I've been seeing little bright little lights, three or four that go flying across the room. It's
Mm.
almost every day now. It's
Oh,
somebody said,
wow.
"Oh yeah, those are the Hathors." I hadn't seen those before.
And it makes sense because, as I said, and as they said, now they're here in the physical. So now manifestations of their presence are going to be much faster, much easier. We're raising in frequency. They are closer to us now. And I think they are doing it gradually, so to make sure that it's only supporting us and stretching us in a good way rather than hurting us in any way, both physically, as our circuits can kind of blow out too much electricity, too much energy, but also mentally, but I think physically even more so. And I also think they still need to protect themselves because humans at this point are still a little fearful and violent. And when people ask why don't they land at uh, the front of the White House lawn, is I mean there are many answers to that. But also, it's true that if they did, they would be shot down immediately
Mhm, mhm.
because that's how our government tends to respond to things. Yet still, I think it's changing on many levels is changing, and I think we're headed to a beautiful, beautiful direction actually, with much openness and acceptance. But we're not quite there yet, so things are progressing in steps.
Well, it might be tied into what we've got. You did some channeling previously, and we recorded it, and they were a little shy, so the camera
Mhm.
didn't work, right? And then
Yes.
yeah. So what we're going to play is you channeling them, and we'll just show your image, and because it was really good, it was really good. It's really nice when they come through your voice. It's so,
Mm.
so, it's just incredible. I just get so high from it.
Yeah, the human voice is such a powerful tool, and it's one of my journeys of integrating with the divine feminine and really allowing them to inhabit me fully is to use my voice in that way and to allow my voice to become the tool that it is. And I want that to I want people to take that in a way, how can they apply to themselves? It's nice to hear about somebody else, and you can hear even a singer, and they can have a beautiful voice, and you don't need to sound like that singer to enjoy singing. So I really, really do invite people to start using their voice and enjoy the sound of their voices and to play with it and to express different tones. It's something that I also teach. I teach light language. And I just think it's such a beautiful gift and a powerful tool, the human voice.
Just excellent. I think that's so important also. Okay, let's check it out. Mhm.
I'll mention briefly what they're doing. So I know light language is a term that a lot of people nowadays are familiar with. It has also blown up in popularity, which is not a coincidence, as we're bringing in those divine feminine energies. Also, one of Hathor's specializations, one of their main specializations is sound and frequency through sound. So they call it often field tuning. And the reason they call it field tuning, they said the sound that they're making, especially when we're talking about the different tones and sound, and they do all kind of temple chants, but all those sounds interact with our energy fields. And the way they describe it is that, first of all, the specific language, the words, interact specifically with our spine and our energy centers along the spine. And they also work a lot with the heart and the brain. So they're the specific words. And that a lot has to do with Isis also. So Isis is the one often that's speaking. And the tones and sounds interact with our field. So what they do is first harmonize the field within itself, bringing on coherence, which amplifies our field and allow our fields to begin overlapping more and more and resonate in coherence with each other, which then amplifies us even more. And that's why they call it field tuning. So we're really tuning into our inner harmony and then resonate in coherence with each other, which amplifies us even more. All right. So now I am going to invite them in, and they can make their wonderful sounds. Harakatiana tarastiana turukumanaya. Huranyaka ranyakata. Huranaye harama hiena harama. Uro meyanaka restianata roamai. Herana hiena Moroyena haraye. Nurostuamanaye. Kuromayena rohomaneya. Nuroyena rakatayena. Horaneya kaharyeni. Huroyena haraye heranya. Horumoyena. Huroye heriani katarai. Hurohani arakatai. Urani ekariani taroye herama. Rumayena haryani kata hekrayono huromai. Herayena koromaniata ramai. Hom 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 hom. Uromai, uromai. Greetings and blessings to you. We find this to be a good opening tuning. We can talk just a little bit about what we have done to offer validation to the ones of you who are able to sense the energy with your bodies. We opened channels beginning from the, you may say, the upper body. It's not a specific chakra or gland that you are familiar with, but more we can say the upper body, opening channels specifically into your gut, your solar plexus, and working with grounding those into the earth. And then to further open the channel, bringing the energies back up. And those are those golden energy, especially the one coming up. So those are the golden energies that you have discussed. Once again, being able to clear that solar plexus area, which was one of the main areas of focus, and then upward into the heart and into cosmic connection. We are glad to offer more field tuning or light language if you would like to. But as we said, this was a good opening tuning, and we feel your energies. Many of you who are listening and will be listening to help facilitate the movement of energy.
I've got one question before we do more.
Yes.
How do you shift from the solar plexus to the heart when you're stuck in the emotional body?
Mm-hmm. Yes. When you are stuck, there is actually a disconnect between the different centers. So you could see as the root chakra and second chakra and even third chakra as being on a continuum, and they still often communicate to each other even when there are certain blocks. However, as you have noticed, there is often a cutout between those three lower centers and the heart. So when you find yourself stuck in emotions, we then recommend keeping those actually separate and working on the heart portion and working on the mind portion, which are the thoughts and stories that tag along with the emotions. But when you work on the mental part and you work on the heart, raw emotion part, which usually means learning to accept and integrate those emotions rather than pushing them away, what you want to push away or bring further order and clarity to is the mental part. The emotional part, you want to be able to allow the flow without interruption. Now, once you have done these, which means working on the mental part, allowing the flow of the emotional part, then you can begin working on connecting those to the lower chakras, the lower energy centers. And at that point, you will be able to open that channel and move the energy back and forth in a way reinforcing the openness of those channels. And we will just mention that there is a functional advantage in having those cut off, because the lower chakras have a lot to do with physical energy, the type that's denser and can be more intense. And what happens if you are stuck in an emotional state that's unresolved, if you do not have clarity between the mind and the heart, you do not want to add that physical oomph, that physical power into it, because that may anchor you even further into the mental stories, into the polarity that you are experiencing sing as a physical being. So you may want to keep those separate until there's some more clarity going back and forth between the heart and the mind, and then bring in that physical energy to complete the full spectrum of that channel opening.
So ultimately, to actually go down to the root chakra and then go up through the whole Kundalini flow into the crown through all the chakras.
Yes, so when you're talking about building up of energy, absolutely. You build them from the ground up. So you do begin with your lowest chakra and build them upward. That is the healthiest order for energy to build up in your system.
Excellent, excellent. Really helpful. Okay, so here's a big question. How can people open to universal love more?
Yes. So
most people don't even know what it is.
That is true. Many people don't know what it is, and when they feel it, they don't know where it's coming from, and they would often attribute it to individual people in their life. Now, the best way to open to universal love is to learn to love yourself and being able to channel love towards the self. So now we're talking about learning to be self-accepting, learning to be compassionate, learning to quiet down that critical, judgmental voice that constantly find faults and problems with the self. So people, and each person does that individually, must learn to hold space for any woundedness that comes up, any imperfections that they perceive. They must learn to hold a loving space for those emotions, for those states of beings. So often people hear, you must love yourself, or you must love every part of yourself. But then they notice parts in themselves that are either wounded or holding them back or have blockages or excess mental energy. And then they think, no, I want to change this. I'm not supposed to love these. So this is the confusion in the language. A better way of understanding it is being able to hold a loving, compassionate space for those issues, for those aspects of yourself that are bringing up those issues. So if you hold the understanding of holding a loving space, being compassionate towards yourself instead of critical and penalizing, then what you are doing is exercising that love muscle, making more room for cosmic love to come in and flood your entire beingness.
Oh my God, it seems like the whole thing, more than anything, is for everyone to learn compassion, not only for yourself, but for others.
Yes, but it starts with the self. Absolutely. People, even people that seem like they are very permissive with themselves but critical towards others, they're just pretty good at hiding those self-critical thoughts, sometimes even from themselves, but they are still there. When people learn to hold a compassionate space for themselves, true compassion, not avoidance, not control, but true compassion, that will increase the natural flow of divine love that is then overflowing from your beingness and spilling over to others.
I think of compassion, the number one way I do it is we're all entrained into this mass consciousness. We all get lost sometimes. Okay, so how do we access oneness and unity consciousness? Again, most people, I mean, we came from there, even
You
as
are
babies.
still there. You are still there.
How do we really get back in, get out of our 3D body into their more?
Yes. So, first of all, you never left oneness. Oneness is here, oneness is everywhere. You are oneness. Two, good news, you do not have to get out of your physical bodies to invite oneness in. As you are here, specifically, that is the mission, is to be here, and while being here, while being in a physical body, while experiencing third density polarity, to be able to remember more and more and more. Yes, remember with your mind, but remembering with your body, remembering with your whole beingness that you are that oneness. So the first thing that must be done is to change your understanding, to change your perceived goal from connecting to oneness or going back to oneness to remembering, reawakening your awareness of that oneness. You are already it. You just perceive yourself as separate because this is the journey, this is the mission. You must go through a full arch, which means beginning with forgetfulness and then reawakening, remembering your true divinity, your true oneness, your true beauty as a loving, healing force experiencing this reality. So you do not want to get out of your body, and you do not want to go back to any state you used to. You want to be where you are right now, and with awareness, with your intention, with consciousness, to open your awareness to the field, to feel you are, to feel yourself as a part of this connectedness, this golden net of creation. Each one of you is a node point in that beautiful net. If you could see yourselves energetically from looking down at the planet, looking from the outside at the whole planet, you would see this beautiful golden net wrapping the whole planet and made out of many, 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 many points, anchoring points. You are all a part of this net. Each little point in the net is one of you, beautiful beings, holding our energy, anchoring it into the earth. And anchoring it, it's because you have both the ability to be fully dense physical, but also multidimensionally reaching up all the way to source, all the way to loving creation and the first emanation of energy.
Can you do a sound for source and universal love?
Yes, let us do that. Deep breath. Rostoi he nai he kariano. O mai e hei. Nuroye kareani. Anchoring the internal flame within your bodies. Nuyera tarani hie harahano mai uro riena katariasta nakaro manea karaponuru romaya. Kriyanita rastianata kara am anirakatiata. Uromanira katara atarastianakat urohum atarakatayani. Astirakata hayana. Or umakata. Or umakat riyanikata rastiana. Very well.
Worked for me. I got a good question. Once we return and remember that we are source and become that energy all the time, we are always there grounded in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
How do we not get out of bed? Or how do we get out of bed?
If you are connected and in the flow as you are right now, and all you want to do is stay in bed, stay in bed. You must trust that whatever you are feeling is appropriate and is good and is productive, as long as you are in the flow. When your physical bodies needs rest, allow them to rest. When they need and desire movement, allow them to move. Listen to your own essence sharing with you what it is desiring at any particular moment. You are not to restrict yourself in any way, shape, or form. And we promise you, and yes, we are giving you our personal word, that abundance will follow. So some of you may wonder, oh, but if I'm feeling wonderful and I'm just in bed cuddling with my pet, watching TV or listening to music, who is going to pay the bills? And we will tell you that when you are fully connected with your body, when you are fully connected with the essence of oneness and all that you are, abundance follows naturally. Abundance goes beyond money, beyond of what you even consider as physical energy. Abundance goes all the way to source and bringing in that flow with your beingness, your physical beingness. So even laying in bed and doing seemingly nothing is bringing abundance into your realm.
I just love that. I just love that. Okay, how do we open up our intuition more to be
Yes.
in more higher connection?
Yes, your intuition is, you may say, a muscle just like any other. And just like any other muscle, when you want to strengthen it, when you want to focus on it, you focus on specifically developing it. So if you want to become more intuitive, you must become better friends with your mind, which is a part of what your practice of meditation is about. You must befriend yourself, you must befriend your mind, and you must consciously invite your connection to your higher self, to your guides, to your galactic family, to your body, as your physical system is a part of that intuition. So befriending the different parts of your physical beingness and exercising the muscle of focus, inner focus, the muscle of connection, the muscle of patience. What we mean by that is that you must have the faith that the process will unfold naturally. Therefore, you may not want to have very specific goals in terms of developing your intuition, but rather allow it to unfold as it unfolds, revealing to yourself, to you, your own unique gifts. Each one of you has a very special pathway to source, meaning you carry different gifts, and that is intentional. So you must learn to experience your own unique pathway into that connection. So you must discover what it feels like, and you must exercise this muscle, allowing it to flow more and more so. And even if you don't notice it immediately, give yourself some playing room. Don't get too serious about it, and don't be strict about it. You may be strict in your daily routine to set a time to meditate every day. That is fine, but not in terms of how the experience feels, and not in terms of the results that follow, because you must allow your unique divine pathway to unfold, the one that is made and created just for you and just by you.
That's just perfect. You know, when I get my main downloads is when I'm really spaced out, when I first wake up in the first hour in theta. I'm not thinking, I'm just floating. And it's like bing, 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 bing. Okay.
And notice that you get inspirations and creative ideas when you are in the shower. It is not true? Yes.
Yeah. Also, when you see a view, I've got a nice view, and sometimes on the toilet too, I must admit.
But it is not a coincidence that you are around water and that movement of energy is involved. So you're joking that you're sitting on the toilet, but when you're on the toilet, you are literally moving energy. Mm-hmm. You're moving matter and moving energy in your body. That movement is aiding the facilitation of new inspiration and creative ideas.
Any last words and sounds you would like to share?
We would like to share with everyone that you do not need to be a channel. You do not need to be a professional psychic in order to connect to our essence. In fact, many of you are connecting and have been connecting to our specific essence without knowing, without making the connection that it is us. So, in order to connect to our essence and invite us more into your life, we invite you to play with sound, to play with music, which we know you specifically have dedicated your life work to. Hence, we are very connected. But anyone that plays with sound, that plays with music, embodying the sound with your body through movement, and that's especially true for music, that is inviting us into your essence. Also, enjoying time in nature, becoming a good observer of nature, interacting with nature, feeling your connection and camaraderie with other animals and other plants. You are directly opening the channel to our essence. So these are just a few points that people can take into their personal life, found ways find ways to connect to music, find ways to connect to nature. And just like that, you're inviting our essence, which includes the flow and the energy, but also the love and expansion into your own life.
Want to do one last little sound?
Absolutely. Let's leave you with a closing sound, and we will call this transmission of integration. Tantarahaya ngata rohoma ye 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 Kukraniata rastiana turumana ya 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 he ye 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 Kikraniata rosunanata hekra ye he he ye 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 Kukrono yonara ma ye he nara ye Kukrono ya ha herana ye Kikrehiena horo humana kekriena hey kuromane hiara kikriana toruna keyena yo We send you our love and gratitude and invite you to stay in this space, feeling it in your body and your heart for as long as you can before your human life kicks back in.
I get so high from that. Oh my God, it really works for me. Thank you for
I'm glad
everything.
you can feel it.
Oh my God, it's, to be able to open up people to universal love and source is really kind of the ultimate, because once we can get everybody open to those levels, compassion is built in. All war is gone, all hate, all, because unless you want to hurt yourself.
Exactly. Once you really realize that everybody everybody, including ourselves, are a part of that same beautiful spark, just different facets of it. When you really internalize it, any desire, any inclination to hurt anyone else becomes like silly, it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Exactly. Oh my God, I love it. Thank you for everything you do. It's just an inspiration.
Thank you
It's
so
so
much.
nice to have a good balance of the left brain that you worked on so hard for so many years and couple it with the right brain, and get the nice balance. I just love that.
Yes, thank you. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here to integrate the divine feminine to become all woo-woo and just to lose grasp of reality and float somewhere in the sky. We're really here to integrate everything and become a full, whole, harmonized essence, including the divine feminine.
Just perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.